Welcome to Governance Now. This is Gitanjali Minhas and you're watching Checks and Balances. One of the world's leading film and entertainment markets, the sprawling Indian film industry is the world's oldest and largest producer of films. With the coming in of OTT and streaming platforms, the industry is going through a shift in its business and revenue models. As the industry moves to adopt artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence in its production activities, the industry is in a transition phase. As per FICCI EY report 2024, the Indian media and entertainment sector grew by over 8% in 2023, earning revenues of Indian rupees 2.3 trillion. The film segment grew by 14%, earning revenues of Indian rupees 197 billion. Major revenues of Indian rupees 120 billion were generated by theatrical releases, followed by rupees 35 billion generated by digital and OTT. In 2024, the sector is projected to grow 10.2% to reach rupees 2.55 trillion revenues and grow at CAGR of 10% to reach rupees 3.8 trillion by 2026. By 2026, the digital segment is expected to grow to rupees 955 billion with an increased focus on governance at CAGR of 13.5%. The Indian film industry is popular for its grandeur and mass appeal. The number of films being produced in India are growing. Annually, India produces more than 1,700 films and over 3,000 hours of content for OTT, reaching more than 160 nations and topping streaming charts. The Hindi film industry, called Bollywood, has massive global appeal. The film industry is high on perception. Inherently, it is a volatile and a high-risk business. Barring a few successes, most of the films in recent times with big stars and A-list actors have failed to appeal to the audiences, causing huge amount of losses. Having said that, many medium and small budgeted films have been successful in the recent past for their stories have connected to people with all walks of life and been rooted to culture. Despite having big stars, why are films failing? Why are formula films failing to appeal to the audiences? Is there a formula for success? Giving his views, Komal Nahta, film trade analyst, says,
very difficult to understand what will click and what will appeal to the public for the simple reason that the population is so large. Tastes keep changing from region to region. Sometimes while you're making the film, it is a great story. By the time it releases, somebody has done a similar thing. So there are so many ifs and buts. See, stars can definitely add value to a film provided the content is good. Yeah. It is always the script and the content which has worked more than anything else. There is something called fan following, etc. As the most recent blockbusters, 3-2 has proven, stars are just the medium of conveying a good script. And Stree 2 had such a fantastic script. It didn't have any A-list actors as such. It didn't have a Shah Rukh or a Salman or an Amir or a Deepika or an Alia. And yet it has outdone every film, whether it is Pathan or Jawan or Bahubali or Gadar 2. It has surpassed all their individual businesses. Big stars and formulaic films at least assure them of one section of the audience who will see their film. So, their risk is reduced. Nothing is fail-safe. Nothing is foolproof. Similarly, with formulaic films, there is a set audience who likes to see mardhad, emotions, thoda family drama, romance, songs, dances, etc. And making non-formulaic films entails taking a risk because it could just go for a complete toss. It could just flop miserably. Not many producers want to take that risk. There are people who keep repeating the same stories which flop, but unko chance milta hai. Why? Because they are perceived to be the safe ones.
Shibasish Sarkar, Group CEO, Reliance Entertainment Studios and President, Producers Guild of India, here says that audiences have become very conscious of their time and if they like a film, it is giving unforeseen revenues to its producers.
The consumer's benchmark of a quality has substantially increased. Spend my time, it is more important than money. That if I have to spend a certain amount of time, I want to consume a quality content, putting a tremendous pressure on the writers, directors, producers, the people who are responsible for creating the content, that they really have to give a quality content, otherwise audience are ignoring it completely. A lot of filmmakers, a lot of producers are grappling with that scenario, and we don't have, honestly, as you correctly said, we don't necessarily have the answers, but we are at least know the symptoms. For the first time in the 120 years of Indian film industry, we have seen Indian films crossing 500 crores, 600 crores, 1000 crore kind of numbers, and a number of them. Like in last 1.5 year, between Pathan and Jawan and Sri and Gadar 2, I mean, Animal, films are doing 400, 500, 600. We have not seen those numbers in last 100, 150 years, right? At the same time, the point what you referred that there are so many star-driven films, or which used to be like when a producer is making a content, producer think that if I have a certain kind of a star, there is an assured box office footfall at least on the first 3 days. That assurance is gone. So many star-driven films or so many films where there was a lot of expectation been falling. There is no low benchmark, no bottom line, basically, right? That has shocked the community. And you are correct, because so right now, as we are seeing, while star or an actor is very important for the constituent part of the film, but audiences are seeing the film holistically. That if I like the promo, irrespective of the star, a Munjia will go and do 100 crore, or a Sri will go and do a 600 crore business. But if I don't like the promo, or if the film is not appealing to me, every month you will find some star-driven films are just biting the dust. From a long-term point of view, it will force us, the community, it will force us, the producer or the writers or the director, to improve quality, to improve the benchmark. And if we don't, then we don't survive. That's why people are focusing more on the story. What will appeal? There has to be one peg in the film that it will appeal the audience. That once, that's the brainstorming what happened. Currency is not money. The currency is consumer's time. There has been a shift in the consumer behavior, who has moved on from what to consume on a weekend or on a given day on a theater vis-a-vis what I will consume at my home.
Here, making a point on vast potential of good content, Girish Johar, producer, film trade and business analyst, says,
stars in today's time do not guarantee an opening, which earlier used to be a big thing. Post-pandemic, films like Barbie and Oppenheimer and Joker, they clocked 100 crores at the box office. These are A-grade niche kind of films. India featured in the top 10 territories for these films. That's a big thing. Lion King did 100 crores at the box office and an animation without any stars. The audiences now are evolving over a period of time. It's a 6 or a 9 month cycle. What you think today has to be executed and then come onto the screen. We were not able to, as a fraternity, not able to know what the pulse of the audience is. What they want to watch, what will they entail to come to a cinema.
During COVID-19 pandemic, people consumed vast amount of content on OTT across languages and subtitles. The proliferation and initial euphoria has now faded due to poor content and high production costs. Many small OTT platforms have closed down, and many other big ones are in the process of mergers and acquisitions. In an industry accused of nepotism, OTT was an opportunity for a lot of new actors, and the community of business, the producers and the directors, pan-India, and the audiences also warmed up to this model. How has OTT impacted the revenue of film business?
I feel in a country with 140 crore population, we are not even scratching the surface with the kind of, follow a section of the audience will be happy to see if there's a great show in the weekend. Unless it is really appealing, you will not go out and buy a ticket and make all the effort and spend that time. In a short term, one will look at it that, okay, that OTT consumer or OTT consumption is eating away a certain amount of the box office. But what has happened, because the OTT is far faster, films are reaching people's home. It is exciting, or it is exploring a new class of talent, a new class of, like, if you just see last 5 years, series of male and female directors, writers, they have all came from the hinterland, from the larger part of the country, and it is somehow giving a huge positive impact on the film industry. Short term, I agree with you, it will look like is OTT cannibalizing a section of audience from the box office. On a medium to long term, it is actually supplement and increase the revenue. A producer today gets a substantial amount of revenue when he sells the OTT right of a film to a platform.
With OTT, there is one small section, maybe 2% of the audience, which has stopped going to the cinemas. But it is an opportunity also, because about 30 to 40% of the revenue for a producer, 30 to 40% of his cost of production and promotion gets covered only from sale of OTT rights. That you can't really overlook that. There are people who just don't want to go to the cinema because they say, "Okay, after 2 months it will come on OTT, we'll view it." They may not be buying the cinema ticket, but that OTT platform is paying you because of such people.
Pandemic had just gone back. OTT was on a high curve. The stars and the producers and everyone was getting good revenues from the OTT acquisition. So everything went for it extremely high in terms of paying to the stars, paying to the actors, budgets and everything. But in actual, that had to see a downward trend, and which is happening. OTT has pulled back. Earlier they used to go 2x or 3x for a content. Now they are not giving. They are giving 20%, 30%. So the producers have no other option but to pull back. There have been a lot of grind which has happened between big actors. Big names have gone into rethink mode, rethink budget, rethink their fees, rethink the scale of the film. The internet facility which our country has, our internet facility is very strong in metros, the top 10 cities or the top 15 cities. But our internet facility is gradually increasing in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, because that is where the money is. So OTT is a platform as a window, is here to stay, just like satellite is here to stay. The earlier the equilibrium they find, the better the earlier. That is why they pulled back. They are no longer, giving big monies, linking most of the acquisitions with box office performance of the film. Eventually, the producers are realizing that if everything is being linked to box office, why not I focus on box office? That's the first window of a film. So let me concentrate on the box office. Music will also come. Digital rights will also come. Satellite right will also come. We have ample of examples. So, and they are getting good, revenues, tertiary revenues.
Digital has impacted television revenues. FICCI report says that India is linear and digital. It says that in 2023, television revenues fell by 6.5%, whereas distribution revenues grew by 2%. The report projects television revenues to grow at CAGR of 3.2% approximately, at least till 2026.
The linear TV is probably going through the worst phase. The reason is the country's overall advertisement pie is more or less same. The advertisement money has shifted from linear TV to digital. That pressure is coming on linear TV broadcasting. So you probably by end of financial year 26, that is March 26, will have a more stable picture. I'll say the picture is becoming clear, but a more stable picture we'll see next 12, 18 months time or 18-24 months time.
Major production costs go to A-list actors and big stars and their entourages. The industry is dominated by a handful of production houses. When films fail, such high production costs are a drain on the ecosystem and call for rationalization of costs.
That's a very sad part. Lot of production. A handful of production houses are getting 80% of the pie. For instance, a Netflix and an Amazon will give their web series or they will greenlight films made by those 4 or 5 production houses. Those production houses have also earned this in the sense they've delivered film after film after film for the last 20 years or 30 years or 50 years, which gives them that upper hand. And that is why OTT platforms and everybody, stars included, they are the ones who can afford the stars because the stars are comfortable. They know today it's not enough to have a good script. It's also necessary that production house is able to complete the film and release the film with the due promotion. So the stars and the platforms, they feel very comfortable dealing with these big production houses because of them being in the business for the last so many years. Smaller production houses sometimes may have great scripts, but they don't get a chance. It's like newcomers. There may be a newcomer who is raring to go, a new actor or a new director. But the question is, will anybody put his money on that new talent? And that is the tragic part. In fact, there are so many people, so many banners who may be having good scripts, but they're just not able to get a foot in the door. An Amazon or a Netflix or even a production house. There may be a director or a writer who has a wonderful script, but because the established directors are ruling the roost, I know of people who feel frustrated and just quit the industry because they haven't even got a chance to be heard, leave alone make a film.
A producer, when he's putting money on a project, he also, like any other business, want to find that what is my assured return or what is an assurance that I'll get a certain business. There, the whole concept is to come, okay, if I have star A or star B, certain kind of revenue will be assured because audience will come to see the star. They are star because audience has a affection beyond the silver screen. That is over a period of time is getting democratized or demolished through this whole platform and content going to people's home. I think the biggest democracy of the OTTs of the last 6-7 years, talents who are probably not got a chance or would not have got a chance for a 70mm screen, but can get a chance at your drawing room and providing a good quality. Audience is in the progress of getting democratized. So star system over a period will shift from a star power to the power of the story. Ultimately, consumer is the king, right? So one can have as much limitation, as much of groupism, or as much of only X section of people gets an opportunity or not. The ultimate factor is decided by the consumer, the community, or the performance. So is in the West. We always have seen that if you are it is probably dominated, the correct word is probably dominated by probably 10 odd stars, probably 200 odd producers are banking and trying to make a film with those 10 odd stars, right? It is always lopsided.
Eventually, it's going to be some method in the madness. I think what actors over here are presently focusing on is selecting the right stories. Right now, everyone, which is the good part, is rethinking on the storylines. That's which will get them the audience. They are pretty much now open to, either taking a basic fee, 10% of what they were asking, and then as a basic fee, and then maybe a revenue share or a profit share or a stake in the IP. Much earlier also, Amitabh ji, Dharmendra ji used to take distribution territories. Manoj Kumar Saab also used to take distribution. So it is not that it is new to us. It has been down south. It is still very strong. And in the Hindi industry, certain actors do take a fee. So yes, the idea is to be less burdened. So eventually the film makes money. If film makes money, everyone makes money. The entire ecosystem gets oiled and makes money.
Failing films and fewer theatrical releases have put a huge financial burden on the exhibitors who have to meet their fixed overhead costs. Many have had to close down their properties. As a stopgap arrangement, many producers have started re-releasing titles which are also giving them good revenues. For the exhibitor, this is a stopgap arrangement when he is not the title owners. But for the producer, he can always change his model and start making content for OTT.
In a small town like Anand in Gujarat, in the last about 4 months, 14 screens have shut down. Imagine 14 screens have shut down for good because there's no playing program. There is another multiplex, the first multiplex of India. PVR claims it is the first multiplex, but simultaneously, there was this multiplex in Gandhinagar called City Pulse. It has shut down operations. They say, but we don't have money to even cover our fixed costs. So why should we keep releasing flop after flop? And therefore, there are so many multiplex screens which have just shut down for good. But that is the tragedy because, as I said, some audiences lost to the OTT platform. Happens to be that year. There aren't too many releases also of the biggies. The ones which have released aren't doing too well. So we have had no release from Salman Khan, no Shah Rukh Khan film in 2024, no Amir film. Amir will of course come with a small film, Sitare Zameen Par, but that is on 20th December. So definitely the business has reduced. And those who can tide over these difficult times will live to see the next year. But those who did not find it worthwhile, they have just shut down operations. Abhi next year, kitna bhi acha ho, it may be the best year. But these cinemas which have closed down, these multiplex screens which have closed down, they will not live to see it. I keep getting calls from exhibitors. Komal ji, please humko bolo na, humko koi aur business mein jana chahiye kya? I mean, what do you tell them? Some people then give out their cinemas for as banquet halls, banquet rooms. They do corporate events, birthday parties, etc. That is the way they supplement their income.
So for the exhibition fraternity, they've taken big rentals they've put on their head in malls. That's a key element cost, a big asset acquisition cost. There has to be a correction down there because all this boils down to the ticket price, a critical element for their revenue. And the second element of their revenue is F&B. F&B is linked to a ticket. You can only purchase an F&B inside a theater once you take a ticket. You can't have a high price ticket for a bad film. You will not want to pay a 350 rupee ticket for
Obviously.
probably a you heard is a bad film. So it will backfire. That is why we are now right now seeing National Cinema Day, 99 rupees, buy one, get one, and all that stuff. But those films, those techniques or marketing, BO marketing tools is what I call them, work only if the content is good. You can't sell bad content with those techniques.
Things are better now. We are almost 85-90% of 2019 footfall. Where it hurts is that things are unpredictable now. I think they are also getting affected with the unpredictability as well as us means as a producer community, because sometimes you put a lot of hope or a lot of planning on one particular film, which is a big budget film or a highly sought out film, and then it just don't do anything. Vis-a-vis, you are getting some pleasant surprises off and on. They have a physical infrastructure and fixed cost. Their situations are tougher than the producers community.
It is believed that production costs and box office figures are inflated by 25% to almost 50% by producers to enhance value of their films and create a marketing buzz around them. Is there a mechanism to analyze these figures?
Especially in countries and areas which give subsidies. So the producers inflate those figures, get the subsidy, get probably 20% more subsidy than is due to them, because the subsidy is always given on the cost of production. And of course, the real cost is something else. That is one aspect. The leakages that happen, production in charges, the production executive or the production managers, they have to deal with the vendors. A number of production houses have production managers or production executives who have under the table dealings with the vendors. They tell them to send them inflated bills, so the cost of the film increases to that extent, and that extra money they pay by check and they receive in the form of cash. In a probably 100 crore film, the leakage or this enhanced cost, which has actually not gone into the making of the film, it's gone into the private bank account of the person in charge. It could go up to 5 to 7 crore, maybe 10 crore.
That's a huge
Yeah. So this leakage, nobody is talking about, nobody is addressing.
Globally, the box office comes whether you use a rent track or you have multiple portal or platforms where exactly accurate box office gets reflected in 24 hours time. In India, unfortunately, for some industry positions of some players, we still have not been able to cross the bridge, and this is one of the long pending demand of many producers or some of the exhibitors also, that why not get a body which takes the numbers, the true numbers from the cinema halls, and reflect the numbers for the public consumption. I am very confident that over a period of time this barrier will go, because globally every country you get the actual box office number. Cost of production number, which is the budget of a film or a cost of production number, there's a very proprietary number of that producer, or the studio will never like to open up the books. And why? From any other industry point of view, if today Godrej is making a soap, Godrej does not tell me that what is the cost of production of the soap. I only know the MRP, and out of my choice I buy the soap or not.
The film industry is a gig economy. While the exhibition side is recognized as an industry with governing laws, that is not the case with production, which has unstable workspaces. Will it augur well to have rules and regulations to govern production side?
The creative area, I don't think it can work under constraints or policies or regulations. Theoretically, we may say, ye hona chahiye, wo hona chahiye. Like, there is no entry barrier here. An uneducated person can make the biggest blockbuster of Indian cinema, and a very, very learned filmmaker who has done fantastic courses in LA and India and the works, he may make the biggest disaster of the country. Therefore, no rules or regulations. It's your intuition, it's your intuitive values. All that is going to come in handy.
There is a regulation is by and large there on creative elements, which is the censor board is there. They decide what category the film will go in and just try to regulate so that the content is more or less adhering to the society, the guidelines which they have issued. On the business aspect, there are trade bodies, but they are not government backed or government related. They are the inherent local trade bodies which do come in, which make the system. Since it's a very strong, soft power which the government has to use it globally, I think they want to control it also from far, deregulate it, but keep the system under check. And I think that's what they're doing through the censor board, through other IT rules and all that stuff.
Use of artificial intelligence was one of the key contentions during the actors and writers strike that brought Hollywood to a halt in 2023. India is gradually moving to adopt artificial intelligence in film and production business. This means more work will be done by machines in significantly less time, and there will be less requirement of human intervention.
Next couple of years, I see that AI will have significant positive as well as negative impact on our business. From writing to visualization to the entire process of the filmmaking, there will be significant impact of AI, and we can see small changes have already started coming next probably 12-24 months. So I foresee that a lot of maker producers will start looking at those aspects. A lot of jobs which will not be available, either people has to reskill or people has to think in another way. That much of potential workforce is there. Else they can do, are they going to make more content or are they going to make more quality content? So the focus will go on the quality, focus will go on to make the content bigger and better.
With 2.5 decades of experience in film industry, Johar here gives out a nugget and says,
hard work and luck plays a lot of factor in this. Yes, it is a very industry. But if played smartly, even if by and large we have a very limited strike ratio, but if played smartly, even if you have 2-3 downers, you can still break even with if you do continuous business, if you create IP, and if you do your business smartly. That is why production companies are staying stable over the years throughout the globe.
thank you for watching Checks and Balances.